and I will film wherever I am. Today I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona. Let's go ahead and start in a seated cross-legged position on our mat. And I always like to start here. There's options of starting in child's pose or on your back or what have you, standing. Seated cross-legged is a great way to be grounded. We don't often sit in cross-legged. I know as kids we probably did. But think about the way you sit in cross-legged. If you cross your right leg over your left or your left over your right, try it both ways just for fun. One way might feel uncomfortable or awkward, but it's good to bring that awareness to our bodies and see what works for us. Also, full or half lotus with one or both feet stacked on top. And I did call this class an all levels class because I like to provide modifications such as that to give participants the option of different alignments, different awareness, and maybe your body does one thing and someone else's will do something different. We're not all the same, so therefore we have options and we're all levels. All right, let's start to engage our breathing. And by that, I just mean coming into our Ujjayi breath, deepening or lengthening our breath 3 to 4 times our normal breathing. So nice deep inhale through the nose, allowing the lungs to expand. And then a nice strong exhale also through the nose, keeping the chest lifted, feeling the resonance or vibration in the back of the throat. You can do pretty much whatever you'd like to with your arms here. Hands can rest gently on the knees. Palms can be down or up. I like to face my palms upward. Maybe connect my thumb to my middle finger or index finger. Just a way of connecting and becoming aware. And then the spine is lengthened as your chest is lifted. So if you normally sit with a slouch, try to sit up nice and straight during the yoga practice, and particularly lotus pose. We're grounding through the sit bones, lengthening through the spine, lengthening the breath. Just observe your body here for these first few moments, how you sit, how you breathe. And we'll come into our Ujjayi breath. With deep breaths in and out through the nose. If you need to release any breath through the mouth, you can do that as well. Eyes can be opened or closed. Sometimes it's a greater release if you exhale through the mouth, particularly if you have a lot of stress that you want to release. And then whatever environment you've created for yourself today, this is going to be a part of your practice. So again, I like to film outdoors. Sometimes we have different stimuli to observe, such as birds, trees, wind. Wherever you are, you may have pets, coworkers, significant others. Just allow that to be part of your environment and your practice today. And if you'd like to set an intention for the practice, maybe getting on a new track. We just had a new moon, so maybe you are thinking about ways that you can improve yourself, your mind or body. It can be internal or external. A personal goal, whatever it may be for you, that's your intention today. For me, it's just maybe finding creative new ways to center, right? We've had quite a bit going on these last few months, and one thing we always have is our yoga journey. Let's link our breath with movement. It really helps us to tune into the breathing and find a purpose for it. So on the inhale, we're going to circle our arms upward, reaching as tall as you can. Exhaling, bring your palms together over heart center. Now, you don't have to match my movements. Go at your own pace. Inhale as you reach and lengthen. Exhale as you draw the hands to heart center. Let's do this a few times, and each time feeling the spine get a little bit longer to reach a little bit higher. Always bringing the hands back to heart center. Heart center, your heart space, sometimes where you focus your intention, your desires. This is what I want for myself. Better self-care, more centering, more balance. We'll meet up with hands at heart center. And then we'll take this flow in the opposite direction. We'll go side to side. And to keep your sit bones grounded or anchored. If you need to switch or realign the feet, feel free. I'm just going to set my left hand down, and on the inhale, I'm going to reach over, take a nice deep breath, and then moving on the exhale, back up to center, switching sides. Inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale as you use your core muscles to bring yourself back up. Exhale. So we're starting to engage the obliques, the side body. Reach and lengthen on the inhale, move and exert on the exhale. And again, we're just linking breath with movement, finding that place, that pace where you connect. It's going to be different for everyone. Again, you don't have to match my movements. I'll be adding movement throughout the practice. This is our flow. We call it Vinyasa. Do one more to each side. Meet up with hands at heart center. Wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and switch our alignment to hands and knees. And here we want to find our balance as well as, well, let's just continue to link breath with movement here. So on the inhale, we're going to drop our belly down, arch the back, lift the gaze. And on the exhale, we're going to contract the abdominals, round the spine, lifting cat pose. Moving with your breath, inhaling, dropping down, cow pose. Exhaling, contracting, rounding, cat pose. And again, find your own pace here. Abdominals, lower back, spine, all of this. You're beginning to engage the muscles in the arms and legs as well. If it feels good to hold one or the other rather than flowing from pose to pose, feel free. Maybe that stretch feels good. Listen to your body. And again, the class being all levels, you're able to customize. So if someone is moving in cat-cow, but you simply want to hold cow, it's your practice. We'll return to a neutral spine and then just gently sway hips side to side. And just kind of opening up to the lower body. And then we're going to come to center and think about our alignment here. And the reason the alignment's important is because we're going to balance. We want to stay on center and be able to balance on one hand and one knee. So ensure that your shoulder, then elbow, then wrist are in alignment. In other words, if your arm's out here, what we're going to do next won't work. So do your best to stay centered, also the knees below the hip. I'm going to lift my right arm, extend it forward. Lift my left knee, extend my left leg back. And here, as you find your balance, if you feel balanced, we'll work here. If you don't, we'll come back and adjust. Maybe that left hand needs to come in about an inch. You don't want to create too much strain or stress on the wrist. And we're going to continue to move with our breath. Exhale, round the spine, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach and extend. Find that length and that balance. Move at your own pace. I always like to suggest at least 3 to 5 repetitions on anything where we're moving and flowing. If you want to do more or less, listen to your body. You should feel those abdominal muscles contracting and toning here. And then we're going to replace that hand and that knee on the mat. And if you remember how many you did on that side, we'll do the same. I generally don't keep track. It's for demonstration purposes only, but I do like to practice with you. Notice if that left wrist feels heavy, go ahead and shake it out. Extend it forward, left arm, right leg back. So opposite hand and opposite knee creates our balance tabletop. Exhaling, rounding like cat pose. Inhaling, extending, finding that parallel line with the mat. Keep moving at your own pace. Again, if the balance is the challenge, you can always come back to tabletop and adjust hands or knees. So that equal weight distributed. And we'll meet back up in tabletop. The neutral spine. Observe the right wrist. Take a moment. Shake it out if needed. All right. And then from here, let's just get into some core work. I know that's always a challenge and the fun part of the yoga practice, right? Which is summer's coming up. Some of you might already be feeling summer, right? Bikini body. All right, we've got our abs to work on. Okay, so we're going to do a modified plank. We'll give those wrists a break. We'll come back. We're going to go on forearms. Forearms are parallel to each other. I like to bring my fingertips to the top of the mat, bring my forearms parallel, and then just begin to lengthen out the body here as you lift one knee and then the other. So I'm hovering above the mat. Now, if you need to drop one or both knees at any time, listen to your body. Toes are engaged. Again, it's your abdominals, your core muscles doing all the work here. Maybe a little bit in the shoulders. Remember, deep breaths in and out through the nose. The last thing you want to do is hold your breath. So just like that flow we created of the deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose on the movement, you can do that same breath as you're holding a static, challenging pose. That'll be the challenge here today. Continue with the same breath work in and out through the nose. It's always okay to drop out of a pose and come back into it as well. It's about listening to your body and challenging yourself at the same time. Let's go ahead and release and relax. Relax the legs and toes. Sphinx pose. We're still on the forearms. Go ahead and lift the gaze. Lengthen through the neck. Deep breaths here. Relax the neck gently. We're just going to look over one shoulder. Stretching through the neck all the way to the side body. And then looking over the other shoulder. Do that one more time to each side. Again, to stretch out through the neck. Let me see if you can see your feet. All right, we're going to come back to tabletop. Exhale. Knees and hands. All right. Let's go ahead and go into a more active practice. We're going to come now into a full plank pose. Anytime you need a break, come to tabletop. Anytime we do plank, you can modify forearms down. We're going to press the palms into the mat, and then same thing, lengthen out through the backs of the legs. Your option to drop one or both knees if you need to rest. Plank pose, same thing, core engagement, but a little bit more intensity in the arms and shoulders. Same thing here as we had aligned shoulder, elbow, wrist. It's difficult to do if the arms are spread out. We want to create that balance as well as support. We call this alignment. And I like to just challenge myself by rocking forward and back. That's a little stretch for the calves and ankles, but it's also a challenge for the abdominals. All right, let's take a little break. Acknowledge the wrists once again. You can come up onto your knees if you'd like. Anytime you need, if something feels too intense and you need to take a break or stretch something out, feel free to stop and just join us where we are. I always like to just flip the hands over, place the backs of the hands on my hips or even on the mat gently to stretch. So one thing that got me into yoga years ago, carpal tunnel syndrome, I worked as a full-time graphic designer, and I had a good friend who invited me to yoga, and the rest is history. So, all right. We're going to come into our first downward facing dog. So from plank pose, we're simply going to push the mat away, come up onto the toes, create a flat back, try not to round your spine. And then we're just going to press the chest toward the knees as we draw the gaze between the feet toward the back of the mat. Should feel a little more intensity in the shoulder blades and upper back, but you want to create that intensity, building the strength in the upper body. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. And then let's take a moment to stretch here, walking the dog or pedaling the feet, lifting one heel and then the other. Notice if you can bring one heel or both heels to the mat. Depending on your flexibility, you might be a little more flexible and you can bring the heels all the way down. But if you can't, just try one foot at a time. Meanwhile, a little bit of intensity in the arms. Try not to round the spine. I'm always looking under my shoulder rather than up above. It's hard in down dog sometimes to see, but try to look under your shoulder, and that'll keep that flat back. All right, looking towards the hands, we're going to step or hop the feet to the hands for a standing forward fold. Release the hands, relax, and maybe shake out the arms here. A gentle bend in the knees and just relax the upper body. So good to shake, stretch, maybe grab opposite elbows and just hang. Take a few deep breaths here. I kind of like to hang or even sway side to side. Again, that kind of creates a little bit more opening up in through the hips. Just listen to your body. You may or may not be able to touch the ground with your hands, but if you can, you're welcome to grab index finger around the big toes and create a bind here to get a little deeper into the forward fold. And if you want to bind but you can't touch the ground, you can simply join the arms behind the legs or grab the backs of the ankles. Pull yourself deeper into the forward fold. This is a great stretch. Gravity helps us stretch deeply into this, but also it's an inversion. Our head is below our heart. That helps with our circulation, particularly in the upper body. Really standing bind. Go ahead and bend the knees. We're going to round up to standing one vertebrae at a time. So here you can round your spine. Come up nice and slow. And then observe your body in standing or mountain pose. Go ahead and take a few shoulder rolls here. If you don't do plank and down dog a lot, yoga can create some intensity in your upper body, but that's actually a good intensity as long as you know how to acknowledge it, treat it kindly. You might feel sore after the practice when we do a lot of core work. All right, let's ground through both feet equally and align the feet about hips distance apart. We'll take that same movement with the arms, the deep breaths in and out through the nose as we did seated, inhaling, lengthening to the sky. Exhaling, palms together to heart center. Do a few of these at your own pace. We'll meet up with our hands at heart center. And again, just observing. We have the opportunity to tune into our breath when we connect breath with movement. But it's okay to just listen to the breath. Hear and feel the breath. Let's bring our arms back up to the sky. We're going to interlace our fingers here at the top to create kind of a pointing steeple, if you will. And just feel that extension of the body. I'm just going to come up onto the toes of one foot, so lifting one heel, then replacing it, lifting the other. I'm just giving you an opportunity here to stretch through the side body without too much intensity. So I'm gently just lifting my heel and then looking over to the foot that I just lifted. Meanwhile, extending and lengthening through the upper body. All right, let's go ahead and come back to center, release the arms. All right, from here, I'm not going to quite do standing balance yet, but let's work in some standing formations since we're standing. In fact, let's continue with our Vinyasa. I'm going to open my legs a little wider here. So see if you can come to kind of a triangle shape, but we're going to create a V with the feet. So the feet will come out to the corners of the mat. I'm going to begin to bend my knees so that my knees are aligned above the ankles. Now, if that doesn't quite work for you, then go ahead and come back up to standing and make the legs a little wider. So what we're going to do is kind of sink in to open up the hips. And right here, we've got our feet out at a V, the knee above the ankle, or it's okay if the knees are not quite to the ankle. You just don't want them to go past the ankle. So if that's you, widen your stance and then bend down. All right, so from here, we want to create a nice stretch, opening for the hips, but we're also engaging the inner thigh muscles and leg muscles. Let's add some movement to this because this can be quite intense. we're gonna do what I call sunflowers. So on the inhale, we're gonna reach to the sky. And on the exhale, we're gonna circle down and sweep down. Inhaling and exhaling. So Vinyasa flow. Vinyasa just means slow. But I like to add Vinyasa into this class because it's, again, a great way to connect with our breath and a great way to get the body moving and flowing. Sometimes yoga is just holding stretches and holding poses, but this is a little more fun. Let's do just a couple more of each here. Really feel that flow. And we'll meet up standing. Beautiful. All right, I'm just going to take my feet here and rotate them so they're parallel with each other. We still want about the same stance, the same distance between the feet. Once you see what we're doing, you might even be able to increase the distance between your feet a little bit more. I'm just going to bring my hands to my hips and begin to fold forward at the waist and bring my back parallel with the mat and just gaze down at the mat, doing a little different stretch for the inner thighs. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release the hands or fingertips to the mat. And this is where, if you want to bring the feet a little bit wider, you can. Maybe your fingertips come to the mat, but you want to try to bring your palms to the mat. Or like I say, gecko fingers, a little bit of an arch to the hand. And then just begin to sink into that stretch. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. And before we get too deep, I'll give you some options, again, at all levels. I'd like to take a twist for the upper body. So you want to make sure you're grounded through the feet. You can increase or decrease the distance between the feet just by inching them heel toe. I'm going to start by placing my right hand or right fingertips on the mat directly below my center. And then I'm going to take the left hand to my hip. I'm actually not mirroring you here. So we'll do both sides if you'd rather mirror me, or we'll do doing the same thing on both sides. So my right hand, my left hand, my left hip. Yours might be opposite, or you're following the sound of my voice quite well. If this is enough for you, stay here. If you want more, extend the left arm upward or the top arm to create a twist. And now here, in this case, I feel a little more intensity on my right inner thigh. That's okay, that's what you want. If you want to go a little bit deeper, hand can be back on the hip or on lower back. I'm going to reach my right hand over to my left foot. And then I'm just going to let my right elbow and shoulder drop down. My left arm, I'm just going to wrap that behind my back. So my left hand comes over to my right pocket or hip crease. So it's a little upper body twist in the wide-legged forward fold. And again, you don't have to grab that opposite ankle if it's too far away or too intense for you. It's okay to keep that right hand right in the center of the mat. The deeper you want to go, the deeper you'll feel the stretch. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. And gently begin to untwist, bringing the right hand back to center, the left hand back down to the hip. And let's just go right into the other side. So I started out here in the center, hands on hips, and then I drop my opposite hand down to the mat. And again, fingertips or palm, depending on where you're at with your flexibility today. Your option to just take the windmill approach and simply stand in the twist. Should feel good. Or going a little deeper into the twist by grabbing the opposite ankle and dropping the top hand or arm to the lower back, draping it across the spine. And again, when I reach for the opposite ankle, I'm dropping not only my elbow, but I'm also dropping my shoulder and my head. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. That's the most important part. When you're ready, walk that left hand back to center. Let's bring both hands down to center so we're out of the twist. If the legs are feeling kind of intense, maybe you had the knees locked out, you can feel free to bend one knee and then the other. Just kind of Relax that intensity. And then here I'm going to give you the option to just hang in forward fold, or if you want to go a little deeper, maybe you have center splits in your practice or something like it, to bring the feet out as wide as they'll go. Bring the hands down to the mat, maybe even bring the forearms down to the mat. Again, this is your practice, so if you're not quite here, that's okay. Just work where you are. Maybe some variation of something that we did earlier. Just spend a few more deep breaths here. It's a fun way to get up into a headstand. We won't do that today. All right, when you're ready, we're gonna bring the feet closer together. I like to do heel toe, and just kind of inch back in, coming about to where we were for sunflowers. Bring the feet back to a V. Let's go ahead and take a few more sunflowers here just to relax some of that intensity. So we want to find that place where the knees come above the ankles and not past. Re-engage Ujjayi breath. See how your legs feel. All right, I'm meeting up with hands at heart center. All right, let's go ahead and try something since our legs are already apart. I'm going to bring my, let's see, I'll start on the right. So I'm going to bring my right foot so it points toward the top of the mat. Then I'm going to bring my left foot so it points at about 45 degrees. I'm actually going to come into a pyramid pose here. So what this is an alignment where the right foot is pointed forward. Left foot's pointed at about 45 degrees, and my hips are squared. So here, you want the feet to be hip distance apart. Might mean moving the right foot slightly to the right or the left foot slightly to the left. And your hips are squared, meaning they're facing forward. If I place my hands on the hips, I can simply fold forward. So let's go ahead and try that. Coming to pyramid pose. And in that, if you want to release the hands from the hips, you can bring them down to the right ankle or to the mat. I don't usually teach with props, but if you have a yoga block, this is one good pose that the yoga block is used for. Maybe even 2 blocks. You can't quite reach the floor, but just try it for now. Things to think about that you might be able to do if you had those tools. You don't really need props or tools for yoga. You really don't even need a mat. But I like the mat because it's got that gripper surface for your bare feet. All right, pyramid pose. This might be intense. Just do your best, focusing on the right leg. And then from pyramid pose, we're just going to take a gentle bend in the front knee. We want the knee above the ankle. Foot is still at 45 degrees of the back foot. We're going to come up to warrior 1. So you should be able to come right from pyramid pose, bending the front knee into warrior, because again, your hips are squared to the top of the mat. And your feet should be in relatively the same alignment, about hips distance apart. From warrior 1, we're going to come into our standing balance, which today is warrior 3. Since we're here, now you can bring your, keep your hands at heart center, bring them back to the mat momentarily, even place them on your right leg. I'm just going to come into my right leg as the full center of balance, lifting through my back left leg. If you're here, you're still doing warrior 3, but again, if your hands are on the mat for balance, that's okay too. Otherwise, try to bring them here to heart center or extending all the way forward. And again, if any pose feels too intense and you need to drop out of it and come back to it, or adjust your feet, anything like that, listen to your body. With standing balance, one side might be easier than the other. On warrior 3, we're going to make our way back to warrior 1 when you've had enough. And warrior 1 simply being like the pyramid, but with the bent front knee. Bit of a balance challenge today. When you're ready, we're going to rotate ourselves back to center. And you might be facing a different way, so hopefully you've aligned yourself so you can see what I'm doing. Same thing on the other side. Let's like to switch it over to pyramid with the left foot forward now, and the right foot at about 45 degrees, hips squared to the center, to the top of the mat, hip width apart. So again, a little bit of movement on the feet, and then simply fold forward. Switch the intensity into the left leg now. And dropping hands down to the ankle or to the mat. Maybe dropping the forehead down to the knee. We're going to make our way out of pyramid into warrior one, keeping that right foot at a 45-degree angle, keeping the left foot forward, bending the front left knee so it comes above the ankle. Again, try not to go beyond the ankle. And if you do, that's where you need to widen your stance. It's considered instability if the knee goes beyond the ankle. So we want that support. Warrior one, again, hips are squared forward. Arms can do anything they'd like, maybe hands at heart center or interlacing fingers. Maybe even drawing that gaze up above. Preparing for the balance pose, warrior three. When you're ready, find your bearings, right? So we're going to balance on that left foot. Hands can be at heart center, on the hip, or even on that left leg. Lifting the right leg, extending it back, bringing it parallel with the mat. If this is enough for you, you can work here. You can always lift and lower the leg if that's the challenge for you today. Hands can be at heart center or on the mat if needed for balance. Or extending forward. One side might be easier for you than the other when it comes to balance. Looks like everybody's body is different. When you're ready to come back to warrior one, bring that right foot back down to the mat. Bending into the left knee. Deep breath. And rotating the feet back to the center. All right, let's go ahead and bring both feet together. We've been standing for a while, so we'll just do one more thing standing and then we'll come back down to the mat. Do a little bit more in the upper body. All right, so I'm dancing, by the way. I like to kind of add in some dance moves. We always want our movement. I'm just getting the sensations back to my legs. Let's take a chair pose. So chair pose, again, feet are about hip distance apart. You can do chair pose with the feet and knees squeezed together as well. Totally up to you, but you don't want them wider and you want them parallel. You don't want them be V'd out on this one. So bend the knees, bringing equal weight into both legs and reach to the sky as you sit back in your imaginary chair. Bringing equal weight to both legs and equal weight distributed into the toes, the heels, the arches. Final balance challenge, coming up onto the toes in chair pose. And then heels down, we're going to sweep the arms back and make our way into a standing forward fold. Take a few deep breaths here, just hang out in standing forward fold. Now, wherever you are on the mat, you want to find the top of the mat. So you're going to walk the hands toward the top center of the mat, walk the feet back into plank pose. So if you rotated yourself toward the front, go ahead and just find your way back to plank. And I'm doing my little shifting again. All right, so in plank, we have our options, again, our modifications. Just turns out that, well, let's see here, wherever you want to be. We're going to take a side plank. That's where I'm going with this. Okay, so I'm actually going to start, I like to face you, so I'm going to start, let's start with my right arm. All right, So if you've taken my class before, you know what these modifications are, but I'll run through them again. Side plank, you have the option today of doing this on your palm or on your forearm. So we did our modified plank on the forearms earlier. We did our plank with the palms down. Both are plank, both will work for this next exercise. Only this time I'm gonna be sideways again. The side plank, so only one hand or one forearm is down. If you decide to go with the forearm, instead of going toward the top of the mat, you're gonna bring it sideways so your forearm comes parallel with the top. I'm gonna do a full plank. If you need to do a modified plank for your wrist, feel free. Right now I'm starting with my right palm down, my right knee down. Okay, so I'm essentially here. We want to balance or engage the right side body. I'm bringing my outside edge of the right foot to the mat. I'm stacking my left foot on the right. Now you can stagger, you can stack, or you can keep that knee down. You're still doing the pose with the knee down. And if you're able to stack, try lifting the top leg. Now again, if this is too intense, and or if you just want to try it the other way, forearm down, parallel to the top of the mat, modified side plank. Same options, knee can come down. You don't really need to if you're down here. Leg can come up. Continue to work on the right side. You can try it both ways. Main thing here is you don't want to hold your breath. I just found myself doing that. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. This is one of the most challenging poses. All right, we'll meet up in tabletop. Good job. I only see one of you, but good job. Oh, one of the other ones is my other phone. We don't see Lana, but I know she's doing it. All right, let's do that on the other side, shall we? Modified plank or modified side plank or just side plank or both. Try both. Again, we're all levels today, so we do different variations of things. Same thing here, and again, I'm supported shoulder, elbow, wrist, directly stacked. Okay, so I'm on the outside edge of my left foot. Option to lift the top leg. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Again, one side might be easier for you than the other. The breathing might be more of the challenge than the actual pose. Same thing if you want to do it modified. Forearm down, parallel to the top of the mat. This one's really good for your oblique muscles, glutes, lower back, the whole core. Meet back in tabletop. And from tabletop, we're going to take a child's pose. Bring your knees, the short way through the mat. Sink your hips back between your heels. Extend your arms forward. Draw your gaze down. Maybe your forehead comes to the mat here. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Listen to your breath resonate against the mat. Focus on each deep inhale and each strong exhale. Child's pose is a resting pose. It's also a place of release of stress and tension. The hip opener, release stress and tension from our hips. We did a lot of nice leg work today, so it's a nice stretch for the legs. Good extension for the arms, opening for the shoulders, everything. Now, child's pose is one of those you can hold as long as you want, but once you get to holding it for a long time, I've fallen asleep here before, and circulation in the legs is challenged. So again, feel free to stay as long as you'd like. We're going to make our way back to tabletop, and then we're actually going to come back to our sit bones, and we're going to come onto our back. And then from that point, we're going to put our feet back down on the mat. And we're going to bring the feet directly below the knees, parallel to each other, so not in a V. And we're going to place our arms by our sides, and we're simply going to lift the hips, creating a bridge. This is bridge pose. So our feet and knees are parallel to each other, hips distance apart. If you feel that this is challenging for you, come back down and make sure that the feet, like our chair pose, feet are parallel, and that's what's going to support us. So we want our knees above our ankles here, and then pressing the arms into the mat. As you lift your hips, you should feel the glutes engage. That's what you want. It's a nice, another core pose, particularly for your backside, as well as inner thighs, bridge pose. Let's go ahead and release the lower back to the mat. And we'll hug the knees back into the chest. This time we're going to make the knees a little wider. And we're going to reach for the feet for happy baby. So a happy baby is a hip opener like child's pose, only it's a little less intense because you are not bringing the weight into the legs. Rather, here you're on your back and your weight is distributed into the spine. So it might feel good to rock side to side. And the point here is that you are opening through the hips. I'm using a bind, where a bind is anytime you grab onto something else. So I'm grabbing onto the feet. You can also take index fingers around big toes. You're happy baby. Should feel like a nice stretch, if anything, as we did a lot of leg and inner thigh work today. Also our traditional core work that we like to do in the Tuesday class. And if you want to explore in happy baby, you can also consider extending one or both legs straight for an additional stretch. And of course, I have the bind here. It doesn't really work if you're not holding on to anything, but if you've got your feet or your big toes, you can straighten out through the legs and make it a nice, like we did our wide-legged forward fold. We did some straight leg work today too. With the weight distribution into our backs rather than in our legs, it's a little less intense, but the same types of hip openers and stretches. All right, let's prepare for our supine twists. I always like to wind down the practice with a twist. You have the option of bringing both knees together and bent at 90 degrees and simply dropping them over to one side. And of course, we'll do both sides. I always like to split the legs. This is part of your options on your the variations at all levels. I like to bend my right knee first, extend my left leg. So 90-degree bend. Take my left hand to my right knee and guide it down over to the left side of the body, stacking the hips. So my right knee comes over to the left side. What do you do with the right foot? You can set it on the mat or you can just set it on the left leg. And again, if you need to bend the left knee, that's okay. Now this right arm, I'm just going to peel open, placing the right shoulder blade on the mat. Right arm extends out to the right side, and I'm going to turn my head and look over the right extended arm. So your right arm is the opposite direction of your right leg here. And again, the left hand can be used to guide the knee down and push it a little deeper. And the right arm should stay anchored, the right shoulder blade anchored to the mat as you turn your gaze toward the right extended arm. Exhale as you come out of the twist, returning to center. Switching legs, send the left knee in, extend the right leg. The same pose, opposite leg, supine twist. Left knee to 90 degrees, right hand comes to the left knee. Drawing left knee over to the right side of the body, stacking the hips. Extending the left arm out to the left side. Anchoring the left shoulder blade and the arm to the mat. Again, if you need to bend the right knee or stack the knees or stack the foot onto the opposite leg, listen to your body. It's a nice stretch for the neck too if you're turning your head and looking over the extended arm. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. As we wind down the practice, we're going to be moving toward our final relaxation. You might have already started to draw your thoughts down from all the intensity of alignment and muscle strength to relaxation. So switching gears. When you're ready to come out of the twist, exhale your way back to center. We're going to come into our full relaxation. So you can extend your legs out the length of the mat, your feet out the short width of the mat, maybe even allow the legs to fall open. Here, same thing, arms can be out by your sides or allowing them to fall open, palms up. Closing your eyes, deep breaths in and out through the nose. And the final relaxation is the time that I like to remind everyone, if you set an intention at the beginning of the practice, a goal, maybe a positive thought, place you want to be, more yoga, more self-care, more time for you. Whatever your intention is, you can draw your awareness back to that, taking your focus off of the body and shifting it to the mind. So free to relax your breath as you relax your body. Normal breathing. And as you sit and reflect, some may call it meditation. Well, one way to do this is to clear out any other thoughts that might come up that are not directly related to your intention or those positive thoughts. If a stressful thought or obligation arises, acknowledge it and then release it with an exhale. Coming back to your heart center, back to your inner peace. Shavasana. Begin to bring your awareness back to the present moment. Moving your fingers and toes, and awareness back to your body. Taking deep breaths in and out through the nose. And bring our awareness back to the breath. You can continue to lay in corpse pose, or if you'd like to, lay in reclined cobbler. Begin to bend the knees and draw the soles of the feet together. This is also an option for your Shavasana, reclined cobbler pose. Hip opener. Take a few moments here before we begin to rise. And here you can bend both knees and bring them over to one side of the body. Now when you're ready, begin to draw yourself back up to seated. We'll return to the seated cross-legged position where we began the practice. Full or half lotus. Sit bones grounded, spine lengthened. Hands together at heart center. Thank you for practicing yoga with me today. My name is Lisa. I enjoyed having you here virtually in this space. Ending the practice with a word that means the divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste.